Let's laugh at the evolutionist, shall we? Oh, man. So I'm a big fan of the ICR, the Institute for Creation Research. I get this. I donate a couple of $100 a year to these guys. I love them. I get there. I read their daily Days of Praise on here. I'm a big fan of their work, and they get this magazine. I think every month. I think, or every quarter. I think maybe every month. Yeah, every month. I love it. It's fantastic. And for you who are curious, this is a great research. Because it's like, man, I never thought about that. I never heard of that. No one ever told me. You're like, ah. Anyway, so this I posted the article from the ICR, most recent one, early land plant evolution, on my community tab, and it was actually pretty funny. So I'm gonna get in that in just a second. So you should follow ICR. Now they are young Earth creationists. I'm not so sure I agree with that. I don't disagree. I just don't know, and you don't know either. Let's be honest. No one knows. So at the end of the day, I find I find it of interest that I'm willing to be open to other aspects of philosophy, because this is all philosophy. And I find it interesting that if you are a believer in young Earth, you're considered insane. You know what I'm saying? Which, whatever, man. I literally call me insane. I don't care. But I'm open to dialogue. I'd like to hear the other side of the story. And after what happened in the last 22 months, if you're not open to hear the other side of the story, I got nothing for it. This is not the channel for you, because you are completely just, you've been abused, man. You don't have the intellectual curiosity to think that there might be a different perspective. Anyway, I was very disappointed to read about Biblical Creation, Intellectual Foolishness by William Lane Craig. He has a new book out, In a Quest of the Historical Adam. And I was stunned. Actually, I shouldn't say I was stunned anymore to read William Lane Craig, because I heard that, I saw from my own eyes that even Dennis Prager says to be bisexual is a norm. I was like, what? Dennis Prager saying bisexuality is a norm? I couldn't believe that. And then I heard, then Ben Shapiro had something just bad stuff to say about Jesus. It's bad. A lot of the conservatives are just, I don't understand. I just wonder if they're truly conservative, frankly. Anyway, so here's William Lane Craig, and you might know of him. I hope you do. If you're a Christian apologist, he's a big name in Christian apology. Apologist. And remember, apologist means a defender of the faith. Polemics is basically go on the offense. So I like people go on the offense. Enough of the defense. Let's go on the offense. And that's what ICR does. They go on the offense, which is fantastic. But of course, the minute a guy like you challenge climate change, the minute you challenge the jabba jabbas, everyone's you're a flat earther and all this, and they just throw you out to the woods. You're like, oh, okay. So you're not open. Which is why you need to challenge. You know what I'm saying? And if you would be a flat earther, I don't care. I literally don't. I find all things interesting. Everyone's perspective I find interesting. I'm even starting to see a different viewpoint on China communism, by the way. That doesn't mean I'm supporting it, but I'm seeing a different point. As I get older, I say, maybe I was, after the last 22 months, if you haven't found that maybe what you've been told was completely a nonsense, and you need to be open to different opinions. I don't know what to tell you. The last 22 months have played a significant role in my life to realize that, man, what I thought doesn't necessarily mean to be true. Doesn't mean it's false, just doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Anyway, so let's read the commentary. During an interview, William Lane Craig made numerous revealing claims which show the science has nothing to do with why he rejects the historical Genesis. He ridiculed clear biblical narratives that Eve was beguiled by a real talking snake, and the anthropomorphic idea that God walked and talked with Adam. He ridiculed these as stories akin to ancient mythology. It is important, and he did this based on science. Man, our guys it's like economists. I was just talking to my daughter about the old economics profession, how desperately they wanted to be seen as a hard science. They sold their souls to rock and roll to be seen as a hard science, even though it's complete making crap up. And it seems like William Lane Craig is doing the same thing. It is important to realize that these objections that Craig poses have nothing to do with modern science. Science cannot inform us whether God would or would not walk with Adam and Eve, nor can we scientifically test the ability of Satan to possess an animal and speak through it. These are philosophical objections to a literal Genesis, not scientific ones. So it cannot be science per se that has Craig worried. However, affirming a literal Genesis does offend modern sensibilities that considers biblical truths to be foolish. Like the Corinthian Christians, we all need to be to guard against the fear of appearing foolish in the eyes of the world. And Craig believes that Christians cannot interpret the Bible for themselves, but must be told the meaning by non-Christians who have a special knowledge. Denying the historical narrative of Genesis undermines the whole of Scripture. And then evidence for a young earth is far stronger than Craig realizes. It is Craig's biases that he brings to the Bible that underlie his attack on biblical clarity, which undermines not just the first 11 chapters of Genesis, but the entire Bible. And what I'm saying. All right, so let's go back to this real quick. So then I tell you, man, and when you're dealing with a science, you're dealing with people who just they're not evil people, but for some reason they have this need to say science is all. It's crazy. Their faith in science overcomes their faith in God, according to the good book itself. Genesis, if you can't take Genesis literally, I don't know what you can do. I don't. Anyway, so I said, remember, evolution is a fact. Am I right? And I quote from this article, Early Plant Evolution. Evidence from recent evolutionary events indicates the anatomical changes are mostly driven by changes in regulatory DNA sequences that determine when or where developmental genes are expressed. And I'd say, think about how silly that whole thing is. Regular changes in DNA sequences. Okay. All right. And then I go down, I got this guy right here says, regular and regulatory are not the same words, nor are they the same concept. I was like, okay, and that's interesting because I know they're not the same words. So he's trying to say that I'm saying regular changes resulting from regulatory DNA sequences. I'm not. Regular changes. If we have evolution, your DNA changes regularly or continual if you want. That's fine. We could use a synonym for regular. I don't care. But this is, I'm sitting there thinking, do you not know? How can you not see? Okay, so continual, say that. Throw out regular. I don't care. It's just a word. Regular changes in DNA sequences. But they think they got me, which is even more absurd because look at this. They say, he'll look it up, he still won't understand. And I say, 100% I do understand the difference between regulatory and regular. Regular, continual, regular continues to happen, keeps happening, that stuff. Cinnamon, that's all there is to it. Regular. So I say, try again. Even the concepts were different here, i.e. regulatory agent only makes evolution more absurd. But a regular change in DNA is not mutually exclusive from changes in regulatory sequences. Because regulatory, what does that mean? There is a third party that's regulating, that's in charge, that's restricting things. How can you not see this? So if I say regular changes in DNA sequences don't get you said, yeah, well, what's the deal with regular changes in DNA sequences? I thought it was random. If it's random, it can't be regular. We're progressing to be able to the survival of the fittest. That makes no sense. If it's random, it wouldn't be survival of the fittest. It's crazy. And they're saying regulatory. They're saying, oh, we got you, Josh, you idiot. Regulatory is different than regular. Well, who's the regulator? The regulator. Regulatory agencies, IRS. Who creates the IRS? So who creates the regulatory DNA sequences? Who is the regulator? Who's in charge? It's crazy. And we say, let's see. Your response misses the point entirely. You don't seem to understand what these terms mean, and your attack is ridiculous because it's not really attacking evolution at all, but rather the image you have, which is wrong, ignorant, and muddle-headed. Like, okay. Okay, you can say that. You sound silly. You have a regulatory agent, an IRS, that's regulating DNA sequences. What is that regulatory agent? So let's look at this for a second. This is interesting, I find. Weinstein, his wife Heather Heying, evolutionary scientists, and I like them. I do. I'm a fan of them. They've become more woke, thankfully, as the time has changed over the last year and a half. I tell you, they were big nervous Nellies initially, big nervous Nellies, but they didn't back down against the jab. So kudos to them. But I tell you, the first few months of this back in 2020, they were big on like the worry train. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm not going to play it, but the 314 mark, Brett Weinstein says, your mind was built by selection. Built by selection. Selection is a random? Built by who or what? Selection. What exactly is selection? Where did it come from? Completely random primordial soup. The idea that macroevolution is based on sound science always makes me giggle. It's insane, man. Your mind was built by selection. I mean, think how absurd that sounds. Along the way with the regulatory agency, what the other guys say, regulatory thing. Oh, what they say is a regulatory. Yeah, evidence for recent evolutionary events. Remember, recent, regular, continual. Indicates that anatomical changes are mostly driven by changes in regulatory DNA sequences. Selection. Who are these agents? Where'd they come from? How did they get created? Just out of nothing. Primordial soup by the Big Bang. I mean, think how absurd that is. There's no proof of this. Lawrence Krauss says evolution is a fact. I'm not going to debate it otherwise. That's freaking stupid, man. I know they're smart. They're educated. Credentials, I get it. Common sense. There's a regulatory agent. There is a selection. Your mind was built by selection. This is absurd. And yet, for the last 100 years, we've been falling for this as if it's done deal, and it's not. Stand up to these people. These people, not Brett Weinstein's not a bully. These other people are bullies. And look, we got this guy right here. Let me see if I can't go back. This guy's been around since 2017, so kudos to him. I won't ban him. I don't mind people disagreeing with me. I just can't stand the trolls who jump on. They create a recent channel. Let me get back here. This guy, let's see what this guy's about. When did he come on board here? Yeah, so he just joined on board the other day. So we'll ban him. And so this guy's fake. But this is what, he can't even think for himself, this guy. So he says, he calls me muddle-headed too, because this guy says muddle. His muddle-headed pronouncements on science, he's truly an insufferable bore. No, Josh, regular and regulatory different with different meanings, precision of thought matters. The whole thing's crazy. Hey, we'll ban it because look, if you're just gonna start off just to bash me, you're gone. It's stupid, man. The other guy I don't mind. And he's kind of clowning me. And I got no problem with people clowning me as long as they're not friggin' just starting to clown me like Stuart Greenberg here just because let's look at reptile dysfunction. This guy's been around for a while, I think. Let's see here about. Yeah, because I've seen him bash me a couple times, and that doesn't bother me. I literally don't care that they bash me. I do annoys me when they're. So ban this guy. I'd use it from channel. It bothers me when they just create a channel, just because I banned it before, because that's so absurd. And we stand up against the bullies. A lot of these people are bullies, just like the Jabba Jabbas, just like the climate change. Tony Heller, that's what I was thinking about with climate change stuff. How dare you say anything against climate change? And that leads to people like Judith Curry being banned from Georgia Tech, who had literally written a book on thermodynamics, being banned. Judith Curry, remember they want women in STEM. She's a professor, had written a book on thermodynamics, being banned because it didn't fit the narrative. No different than what they're doing on the Jabba Jabbas to freaking like Peter McCullough. Are you flipping kidding me? Scott Alice? Scott Jensen? The Jay from Stanford? It's crazy, man. And they're doing the same thing on the evolution stuff. If you challenge evolution, it's the same thing. This is freaking Nazi crap. We're going to say this is the truth, and how dare you challenge it? And if you do, you're going to be removed from polite society. This is bullying behavior. Don't take it. The first step is to laugh, because if you have science on your side, man, you should be open to debate on all this stuff. But they don't, because they know they don't have it on their side, and they don't want to look like the fools that they are. And again, this isn't to say Brett Weinstein's a fool. I'm just saying at the end of the day, a lot of these guys don't want to debate because they don't know. They haven't heard a different side of the story. And so until they come up to the debate and debate the people like from ICR, it's all fake news, man. It's not based on sound science, I can tell you that. All right, we'll see you.